the hard-to-find ammunition. You know the police can't protect you. They show up after the crime is committed. The ability to protect yourself, your family, and when called upon, your nation is enshrined in the United States Constitution. Shop the largest selection of shooting supplies on their online store. CarterShootingSupply.com. Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range. The largest and cheapest selection in Chattanooga. 6210 Highway 58, Harrison. Call 344-1099. That's 344-1099. Keep your family safe by buying them a certificate for Carter Shooting Supply Tennessee Handgun Permit Class. And stop by today to consult one of their qualified experts. They'll fit you perfectly to the firearm that meets your needs. Call 344-1099. You'll always find the widest selection of new and used firearms at Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range. 6210 Highway 58, Harrison. Call 344-1099.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. According to Channel 9 WTVC-TV, the three former Ottawa basketball players have been charged with aggravated rape. Kobe Jones, Gerard Bibbs, and Joseph Norwood were arrested and are expected to stand trial. The attack left the young victim hospitalized with severe internal injuries after being raped with a pool cue. An aunt of the Ottawa victim is starting a petition to have alleged perpetrators charged as adults. The Hamilton County School Board violated Sunshine Law when it met behind closed doors with no media coverage allowed. It was revealed that there was no gag order enacted by the Sevier County judge. Instead, the school board was following the advice of the assistant district attorney, who claimed a gag order was not yet in writing from a judge in Sevier County. A 60-year-old woman has been indicted for striking and fatally injuring a local professional runner in September. Valerie Bray was indicted on several charges, including vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of an accident for the hit-and-run death of 28-year-old Cameron Bean. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
The road conditions are kind of bleak today. There's not really a whole lot of blockages or anything like that, but for some reason today is really just a dreary day in terms of atmosphere. But I kind of like that, honestly. I really like bleak, dreary days. It sort of just fits in with my aesthetic, I guess. I don't know. It just appeals to me. I don't know. I'm just into that. I'm down with that. I'm down with that sickness, I suppose. But oh gosh, this is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. You know, you can listen to us at hotnewstalkradio.com. You can get us on the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone, and even better, you can get us on YouTube. Go to YouTube and then search for Hot News Talk Radio, and you can watch us streaming live. You can even call in 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. I got to keep you informed, though. I got to know, or got to let you know, that there is going to be possibly snow on Tuesday. Possibly. Right, that's the key word, but there possibly could be maybe some snow on Sunday. So keep that in mind if you're going to be traveling. We know how bad things are in terms of traffic. Whenever it snows, people just go nuts. I remember, I remember when it snowed that one time, I think last year, and just it was gridlock, total gridlock. I was stuck here at the office, by the way, for like 3 days because of that snow. Tex can tell you. He would come in and he brought me food one time. It was really nice of him, but oh man. What a mess that was. And the whole thing got me thinking. I was thinking about that the other day, and it got me thinking, what can we do to alleviate ourselves a little bit of the stresses of driving? Because if you're like me, driving's not your favorite thing to do. I like it, but it's not my favorite thing to do. There's not a whole lot to do when you're driving. And that's kind of where radio comes in, of course. But whenever I'm driving, I get kind of bored because honestly, I drive pretty much the same places over and over and over again. I drive from work to my house, from my house to work, from work to a store. That's about it. That's kind of my life in a nutshell. I drive around and that's about it. It's nice, it's a nice drive. I really like driving over the dam on 153, but still, you kind of wish there's something to break it up, right? Something to make it more interesting. Well, if you're also like me, you probably like having information, right? Like I like to be constantly bombarded with info, and you can be. You can get the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone, and then you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio while you're driving, just in case the signal cuts out. But another thing that I really like is actually the Waze app. WAZE is the name of the app, the Waze app. It's actually really good because it has a driving mode, interestingly enough. It has a driving mode so that when you're driving, you can actually report a wreck on the side of the road. You can report that there's a speed trap at a certain location. You can report that there's just bad traffic at a certain location. All sorts of really good things you can do with the Waze app. That's WAZE. It works alongside Google Maps, and it uses the same Google Maps API, so it makes it a lot easier for you to recognize it, right? Like if you use Google Maps, you immediately recognize what's going on with the Waze app. And it has a driving mode, so you just have 3 buttons. One to report a gridlock, one to report a accident, and another one to report that there's a cop. It's super easy. And the fun thing is, in Tennessee, now, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer, a liar. I'm not any of those things. I'm not a judge, not been elected, not been appointed either. I'm not any of those things. I could easily have been appointed, though. Why not, right? But I will say that from my understanding as a layman about law, it's not illegal to use your phone in your car in Tennessee. It's illegal to text while using your phone in Tennessee in your car. So the law is against texting while driving, not against using your phone while driving. Now, I think the definition which the law uses of texting is typing text into your phone. So you can't go around Googling things, but there are a lot of different ways you can use Google while driving. Now, again, I'm not responsible for you using an app while driving, right? If you want to use an app while driving, that's your decision. I didn't tell you to do it. It's probably a bad idea. But if you so choose, there are a few options for you. Again, the Waze app is really good because it will actually give you step-by-step directions to a location too, which is one thing I really like about it. Like, let's say I want to go to a particular address on North Shore. Okay, here's a good one. Let's say I want to take a walk on the Walnut Street Bridge downtown. I don't know how to get there. I'm new to the area. So let's ask good old Google. We can actually ask Google for help. And there's another cool functionality of Google that I'll tell you about in a second here. But something I can do is I can go, okay, Google, give me directions to the Walnut Street Bridge.
Walnut Street Bridge is 11 minutes from your location by car and light traffic. Here are your directions.
So it gives me directions basically immediately. It's 11 minutes away from where I am now. Pretty cool. And it gives me step-by-step directions. So I can hit start here, and it'll start giving me directions. And this is a funny story. One time I got directions to, I think it was Jet's Pizza, actually. I was getting directions to somewhere because I'm terrible with directions. I'm actually kind of the worst with directions. And I was using my phone, and I went to get gas. I stopped at the gas station. I pay with cash, and I always pay with cash. And I stuck my phone in my pocket, and it still had the directions going. So I walk in, and I've got my phone in my pocket, and I'm waiting in line, and it starts going, turn south on Highway 153. And I'm like, dude, shut up, man. Because my phone because I pick it up, and then it turns around, and it thinks I'm facing a different direction. It goes, turn left on 153, turn right on 150, make a U-turn. And I'm trying to get the thing to shut up. And that was interesting, to say the least. That was a fun thing to have happen. I really liked that when that happened, but it can happen to anybody. One cool thing that I really like about the Google app, by the way, that it does really well, is it'll actually identify music. And I've had to do that for me before, because sometimes you hear a song in a video, for instance, and you can't tell what it is. You look at the credits, you can't find it because you don't know which one it is. You're just trying to find out what song it is. Well, Google will actually find out for you. And that's one fun thing about it. If you have Google Now on your phone, which is the little Google search bar that has the microphone you can tap, you can actually have it search for music just by playing the music into the microphone. So what you do is, if you hit the microphone button and it detects that there's music playing in the background, you can actually have it, there'll be a little music note icon in the lower right-hand corner. You can tap that, it'll start listening to the music, and then if it finds out what it is, it'll tell you. And I did that to find out the name of a song that was in actually like a Vine compilation, I think. I used that to find out what the name of a song was. And it, it was Believe by Cher, which is not a terrible song. I never thought I would say that about a Cher song. It's actually not bad. But anyway, one of the more embarrassing admissions I'll ever make. Number to call in is 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. You can listen to us on the TuneIn Radio app. That's TuneIn Radio app. Just get TuneIn on your smartphone, then you can listen to us streaming live that way. And with TuneIn, I don't think TuneIn actually has a driving mode. Podcast Addict does. And I'll admit a heresy here. I'll admit a heinous crime. One of the worst things you can ever do if you're in radio. I sometimes listen to podcasts occasionally. And I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. Before I get, my boss calling me. I only listen to them at night before I'm trying to go to bed. But sometimes I'm driving late at night and I'm way far away. And I want to hear this particular podcast. There's one that I listen to a lot, Knife Point. It's about horror stories. I won't plug them anymore, but it's pretty dang good, I got to say. Well, the app that I use, Podcast Addict, actually has a driving mode built in, which I think is really neat. So what you do is you just launch the app, and then there's a little options thing in the upper right-hand corner. So I'll tap options, and it actually has a little thing that says driving mode. So while my music is playing or whatever, because I listen to music podcasts too sometimes, while that's playing, I can actually set it to car layout is what it's called, car layout. And that makes the play button really big. And so I can play and pause easily. All I have to do is unlock my phone and I can hit play and pause super easily. I can skip. I can do all sorts of different things. It just makes it a lot easier to use the app while you're driving. Because again, you should never ever use an app while you're driving. But if you happen to have to, you can use that option to make things that much easier for you. There's a lot of different ways to get directions to places. I think Google does it the best, honestly. I've tried Apple Maps before. I was unimpressed. I'll put it that way. I was surprised because I know Apple has a really good developing team. I'm sure it has a developing team. But for some reason, it's just not quite as good as Google. I don't know why. That's just my objective opinion or subjective opinion. But it's just, I don't know. The Google ones seem to be kind of better. And I'm noticing, too, a lot of companies are kind of copying what Google does, and that's fine competition. That's great. But I notice Microsoft has it with Bing Maps. Suddenly, Bing Maps comes out, and I keep hearing that it's actually better than Google Maps. The problem is I'm not going to download a separate map app when I have one built into my Android phone. Why would I then go and download another app to get maps when I can just get them straight from Google? Like, Google has become a verb. Like, Google is actually a verb. Seriously, meaning that it's an action word. So Google is a verb now. People say, I'm going to Google that, or let me Google that later. Oh, just Google this. Google is a verb. Google has permeated culture. Google is almost just a universal word for search. I'll just Google that. We don't say, I will search that on the Google search engine. No, we just say, I'll Google that. And obviously that's by design, but it works so well. It just works. And it works to the point where we don't even think about what a silly word Google is. Can you imagine, before Google was a thing, can you imagine saying Google in a serious context, like in a business meeting where you say, I'm really worried about our Google search results, and they'll look at you like you're an idiot. What's a Google? What are you talking about, dude? Google? Right? Because Google's a stupid, ridiculous word. It's actually a number, by the way. Google actually is a number. It's a really dumb word, but now it's just something that's everywhere, and we don't think about what a stupid word Google is. It sounds like a kid's toy. I bought my kid a Google the other day. Like, oh, put the Google down and go play outside. It's just like, Google, what's that? But, oh, man, anyway, it's permeated culture. Google is now a verb, and we just have to sort of accept that. Hey, did you hear about what Twitter's doing, by the way? Twitter is kind of ruining Twitter by raising the bar, I guess, for the amount of characters possibly that Twitter will have in tweets. It used to be 150 characters, simple as that. You had to have really short messages, and it was great because people didn't drone on and on. It wasn't Tumblr and it wasn't Facebook, and it was great. But now Twitter is actually upgrading itself so that Twitter will now have 10,000 characters. That is a lot 10,000 characters, that's several paragraphs. I don't want that in my Google. No. But hey, that's just me, right? So in case you were on the fence about Twitter, and maybe this is the breaking point for you, if you really want to tweet long things on Twitter, now you can. 10,000 tweets is coming soon. So yeah, 10,000 tweets on Twitter. Why not? By the way, Twitter is a really great source for news, believe it or not. We are on Twitter. Go to Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter, and you can see all of our great tweets there. We do breaking local news on the Hot News Talk Radio Twitter account, so be sure to check that out, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, where you can get all of our tweets, actually, and some of our extra stuff on Facebook as well that didn't quite make it to Twitter because maybe it was too long, or maybe there were too many images, or maybe there was just too much info. We couldn't fit it quite into a tweet, so it made it to Facebook instead. Be sure to have us on both, though. If you follow us on Twitter, you'll get all of our news in a short and condensed manner. You'll get updates about what shows are on. You'll get all sorts of great stuff on Twitter. And if you like us on Facebook, you'll get a lot of updates and news and photos and behind-the-scenes footage and all sorts of other great things. Hey, follow me on Periscope. Follow Eric on Periscope, and follow Hot News Talk Radio on Periscope. All of those different accounts, because we actually Periscope pretty often. I did a Periscope yesterday when Duke was on. Duke Nukem, our good buddy Duke Nukem, was on yesterday, and he was doing he was doing a show about preparedness, because he's with P5 Preparedness, and we were Periscoping it, and we had a really good time with it, and we got a lot of good questions on Periscope. What the P5 website was, which, by the way, I'll go ahead and plug him, right? It's www.p5preparedness.com. That's p5preparedness.com, and we certainly are happy to have P5 on as a sponsor for Hot News Talk Radio. That's their website, p5preparedness.com, so you can see all the great products they have for sale. Be sure to stop by, tell Duke we said hi, and yeah, so there you go. But we stream on Periscope pretty often. If there's any breaking news going on in Chattanooga, we try to Periscope stream that as well. Had we been on Periscope, had we known about Periscope back on July 16th, we would have definitely been streaming then as well, because we actually had people on the ground at the time, and we didn't have Periscope at the time, but we totally would have been streaming it then. So now we know, and now we can use Periscope right here on Hot News Talk Radio. So there's my account, which is Radio Russell. It's radio_Russell. And then there's the Hot News Talk Radio account, and then there's Eric's account. You should be able to follow all of those and see all of our tweets. My personal Twitter, by the way, is radio_Russell. If you want to see all of my really negative and sarcastic tweets on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, I guess. But no, Twitter is actually a really good source for news, and that's something I want to get into a little bit, because I don't think it gets talked about enough. Think about breaking news stories and when they happen. And just reporter talking about how there's local reports on the ground of this or that happening. Chances are he's actually getting those from Twitter. I can personally attest that that is generally how that happens. So if you want to know what's happening in a given region at a given time, go on Twitter and then search for the hashtag for that area, or just search for that area in Twitter. You'll get a lot of news from people who have firsthand experience with it, people who are on the ground looking at what's going on. For instance, there was recently an attack on an embassy in Tehran, where the Saudi embassy was attacked by a riot. Don't need to get into details about that, but just as an example, I searched for that on Twitter and got a lot of really good information from people who were live tweeting what was happening right then and there. There are people who are even taking videos. There are Periscope streams of it, which is really rare to see in Iran, by the way. You never see Periscope streams in Iran, like ever. So it was really interesting to see them on the ground. And yeah, you could actually get live on-the-ground coverage from real eyewitnesses right there on Twitter. The 21st century is so amazing for getting news. One great way that I get news a lot is with the Feedly app, actually. Feedly and Flipboard are both really good apps for getting your national and local news if you just want to look at an app and move about your day-to-day business. Funny story, I actually usually check it whenever I go to the bathroom. It's just my daily routine. I go in there, I look at the news, and I get out when I'm done. It's just how it is. I don't know. It's my daily routine. Maybe you can make Hot News Talk Radio part of your daily routine. You can actually add our Twitter to your Flipboard account, so you'll see all of our tweets pop up on your Flipboard whenever we make them, so you can have that intermingled with all the rest of your news sites which you use. So I've got a bunch of news on my Feedly account. I've got Zero Hedge. I've got Drudge. I've got CNN Money. I've got Fox. I've got basically all the different national and all the local news sites all in one place on my Feedly account. And it's really nice. I use it on my Flipboard too. It's really a great way to get my information. So there's a lot of different news apps that are really good for that. But the two top ones, for me anyway, are Feedly and Flipboard. And it's up to you which one you like better, obviously. But I tend to use Feedly more myself. Flipboard tends to have too much eye candy for my liking. If you're into that, cool. But I tend to like Feedly just a little bit better because I like simplistic, just really simplistic designs, really simplistic UIs. I just like it to be that way, but that's just me. So Feedly and Flipboard are two great sources for your news. I found out something kind of interesting today. Riverbend actually has an app. So if you're going to Riverbend, it'll actually alert you about what events are going on. So say, it's summer, it's June, and Riverbend is going on. If you use their app, it'll actually tell you what's on what stage at what time, and you'll get updates about what's going on at the different shows. So it's really amazing that they're using the technology in that way, and it's really a great example of what we can do locally with apps. There's a lot of possibilities when it comes to mobile apps. There's a lot of possibility. Tennessee actually has a mobile app for hiking. It'll tell you what good hiking spots there are, different alerts from the park rangers, all sorts of great stuff. You can get updated on the Tennessee Wildlife app. There's a lot you can do with apps. If you're a small business person, consider getting an app for your business, because that can actually really bring business to you. If, say, I'm local and I'm looking at different apps on the App Store, and I see that this particular app is popular in my area, then I'm more likely to check you out than I would be if you weren't online. And that's another thing, is if you have a small business, you need to have a website. I can't stress enough how much you need to have a website. Nowadays, millennials especially will get information from the web on where different events and restaurants are. Let's say I'm looking for where I can eat out. In fact, I can show you right now. I'll go on my little Google thing. This is what I do when I'm looking at places to eat. Okay, Google. Today, please. Places to eat in Chattanooga.
Here are the listings for places to eat.
See, and that's how a lot of people, millennials especially, will get their info on where to eat. And it gives you reviews. It gives you sortings, right? So if I want open now, top rated, cheap, upscale, dives, right? I can even any cuisine. I can use American, barbecue, Chinese, French. I didn't know we had French food here. Hamburger, Indian. I didn't know we had Indian food here either. See, you learn something new every day. You want your restaurant to be on the web. Make sure it's listed in Google, because then people can find it. If you have a restaurant and it's not on Google, chances are I'm not going to find it, because drive-bys, literal drive-bys, aren't enough these days. I need you to be on the net for me to find you, because otherwise it's just going to be like you're not even there. And it's not saying that your business is bad or that your food is bad. Not at all. In fact, it might be the best stuff ever. But if I'm not seeing you on the net, I'm not going to know that you're there. So that's one thing you really have to do. And that's a tip for you too, the listeners. If you're looking for a way to find out where good restaurants are here locally, you can actually find out with Google. It's a great way to find different restaurants, different locales of any sort, really. Say, I want to know what car washes are here locally. You can do that too. All I got to do is type in my PIN code right, for one, and go back a little bit. Okay, Google. Car washes in Chattanooga.
Here are the listings for car washes.
See, now I got a list of car washes, and you can do that with any type of business. Okay, Google. Grocery stores in Chattanooga.
Here are the listings for grocery stores.
See, you can do this with anything you want, and any sort of category of any restaurant, any grocery store, car wash, gas station. If you want to know where the closest gas station is, if you're running out of gas, you can do that with Google. You need to have your business listed on Google if you are a small business person. This is the best way to get yourself noticed. It really is actually kind of the best marketing you can have, is to make sure that you're visible on Google. And then people can start leaving reviews for your restaurant, and people will get an idea of what it's like. Because if, say, there's a restaurant that has 3 stars, I'm less likely to go to it than I am to the one that has 4. Just human nature. So that's one great way to list yourself, get reviews, get yourself out there. People will like you more. People will want to go to your restaurant more if you are engaged in the net, if you're engaged in social media, if you're engaged with Google. That's the best way to promote yourself ever. Next to radio advertising, obviously, is to promote yourself on the net. And we can help you out with that. Actually, if you're looking for a small business, we can help you, or if you're looking to list your small business, we can help you list on social media. We'll blast you out over Twitter, and we'll blast you out over Facebook too. So if you want to buy an ad with Hot News Talk Radio, that's one of the services that we actually will offer you. And it's not, anything, we charge you $4,000 to get you on our Facebook. It's not like that. We'll help you out. We'll help you out in the best way that we can, the best way we know how to. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We're everywhere. You can get us on the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone. Get us on the website, hotnewstalkradio.com. You can also get us on YouTube. We're streaming live on YouTube right now. Go to YouTube and then search for Hot News Talk Radio, and you can watch us streaming live right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and hotnewstalkradio.com. We got CBS News coming up in a few minutes, and we got Colin Cowherd. He is the Grand Duke of radio sports coverage. He is the best when it comes to radio sports. Colin Cowherd is up next here on Hot News Talk Radio. Then we have Sean Hannity, and then we have more Colin Cowherd, America Now with Megan McCain, Ground Zero, Coast to Coast AM, one of my favorite radio shows. It's so nice to have Coast to Coast here on the air. Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, all right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. We're always here at hotnewstalkradio.com. We're streaming live on YouTube, and we're on the TuneIn Radio app, and we're on hotnewstalkradio.com. We're all over the place right here, Hot News Talk Radio.